We met in a coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon. You were sitting by the window with your laptop and a half-empty cup of tea, completely absorbed in what was on your screen. I was instantly captivated by the way your brow furrowed in concentration, how your lips moved slightly as if you were talking to someone else, and how the sunlight glinted off your hair, making it seem like a halo of gold surrounded your head. It was one of those I knew you were the one moments. The kind where time stops and all you can see is the person standing in front of you. I walked up to you hesitantly, unsure of what to say or how to start a conversation, but the moment our eyes met, there was an instant connection. It was like we had known each other for years. We exchanged awkward smiles, small talk about the weather, and then something unexpected happened. You told me about your boyfriend, how much you loved him, and how happy you were in your relationship. My heart sank. Of course, he was taken. Why wouldn't he be? Why would someone like you be single? As I listened to you talk about him, my feelings of romantic interest quickly turned into admiration and respect. I saw how genuinely happy he made you, and I realized that even though I had feelings for you, you were meant to be with him. At least that's what I kept telling myself. Our meetings in the coffee shop became a regular occurrence. Every Tuesday afternoon, I would eagerly anticipate our conversation, our shared laughter, and the way you looked at me, not as a potential romantic partner, but as a friend. I cherished these moments, holding on to them tightly because they were all I had of us. There were days when I wanted to tell you about my feelings, but the thought of disrupting the comfortable dynamic we had built and possibly losing you as a friend altogether was too overwhelming. So I stayed silent, burying my emotions deep inside. I didn't want to jeopardize what we had. And then there were times when fate seemed to align and I could have confessed. When you mentioned your boyfriend had gone out of town for the weekend and I had plans to go to the city, I felt a surge of hope. Maybe this was my chance. But when Sunday evening rolled around and you were leaving, you said next week, right? And I couldn't bring myself to shatter the illusion we had created. I simply replied, yeah, next week. As weeks turned into months, my feelings intensified, yet I remained trapped in my own internal battle, torn between my love for you and my loyalty to you and your relationship. I started searching for signs, any indication that things could work out between us. I read into every lingering glance, every extra minute we spent talking after our usual coffee catch-up. Then one day, you stopped coming to the coffee shop on Tuesdays. When our paths crossed again, it was by pure chance. I spotted you at a bookstore, browsing the poetry section. I couldn't help but smile. It was one of our shared passions, and I knew you loved poetry. I had no idea whether you still felt the same spark that had ignited between us in that coffee shop, but something compelled me to approach you. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while, I said, my voice filled with both excitement and a hint of sadness. How have you been? You turned around, your eyes widening in surprise. Oh, hey, you replied, a blush creeping up your cheeks. I'm good. Just browsing. How are you? The conversation flowed easily, just like it always did. We talked about books, poetry, shared memories, and even some of the exciting plans you and your boyfriend had made for the future. I listened intently, forcing myself not to dwell on the fact that you were engaged. At least you were happy, I kept telling myself. But as the afternoon wore on, I couldn't help but sense a shift in the atmosphere between us. Your touch lingered slightly longer on my arm. Your gaze held mine for a few seconds more than usual. And your voice was softer, almost as if you were trying to convey something without actually saying it. Suddenly, it felt like the walls around us were closing in. The bookstore no longer felt like a sanctuary. It transformed into a battlefield of unspoken emotions. The air crackled with tension, and I knew I had reached a turning point. It was now or never. Taking a deep breath, I blurted out, I love you. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and raw. I braced myself for your reaction, whether it would be shock, disgust, or perhaps anger. But what I wasn't prepared for was the tears that welled up in your eyes. "I'm so sorry," you whispered, reaching out to touch my hand. "I'm so sorry." Before I could respond, you pulled away, wiping the tears from your cheeks. You looked at me with an expression of pain and regret. "I can't," you said, your voice trembling. "I can't reciprocate those feelings. I'm sorry." My heart shattered into a million pieces. I stood there frozen, unable to move or speak. All I could do was watch as you turned away, trying to compose yourself. The worst part was knowing that I had lost you, not only as a potential romantic partner, but also as a friend. Over the next few weeks, I tried to move on. I threw myself into my work, spending long hours in the studio, hoping to find solace in my art, but the pain of your rejection lingered. It was like a constant ache in my chest. Then one rainy evening, I received a message from you. It was unlike our usual polite exchanges. There was a vulnerability in your words that tugged at my heartstrings. "Can I see you? Please," it read. "There's something I need to tell you." Despite the apprehension that gnawed at me, I agreed to meet you at our usual coffee shop. The rain was coming down in torrents when I arrived. The sight of empty chairs in the coffee shop sent a chill down my spine. Was this a cruel joke? Had you come and left without telling me? As I turned to leave, a figure emerged from behind a large window, their face obscured by the rain-streaked glass. I stopped and watched as they approached me, their silhouette backlit by the soft glow of the shop lights. When they finally stepped into my line of sight, my breath hitched in my throat. It was you. Your hair was wet, clinging to your shoulders, and your eyes were red-rimmed as if you had been crying. "I'm so sorry," you began, your voice cracking with emotion. "I know this might come as a surprise, but I'm breaking up with him, with Michael." Your words struck me like a physical blow. My mind reeled, trying to process what you were saying. Your boyfriend, the man you had been with for so long, the person you had plans and dreams with, you were breaking up with him, and you wanted to tell me. But why? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. You took a deep breath, trying to steady yourself. "Because I'm in love with you, I know it's wrong. We've known each other for a short time, but the feelings have been nothing but real." My heart raced, threatening to burst out of my chest. This was everything I had hoped for, but it was also terrifying. What if this wasn't real? What if it faded as quickly as it had come? As if reading my thoughts, you reached out, cupping my face in your hands. "I know this is sudden, but I can't bear the thought of being apart from you anymore. Will you give me a chance?" Looking into your tear-filled eyes, I saw nothing but love and devotion. In that moment, I knew I couldn't say no. I couldn't ask for anything more. We fell in love under the most extraordinary circumstances, a love born from heartbreak and a shared passion for life. We promised to cherish every moment, to support each other through thick and thin. And though there were times when the weight of our situation pressed down on us, the love we shared only grew stronger. On a rainy evening, two souls intertwined beneath a sky weeping tears of gray. A love story began its bittersweet symphony. They whispered their vows, sealing their fate. But fate had a twist in store, a cruel jest to play. They yearned for forever, but time had a cost, a heart-wrenching toll. For in another timeline, they were fated to part. Their love, a silent, painful art. Yet in that moment, beneath the rain-strewn pain, they held on tight, whispering love's refrain. In another timeline, I would have called you mine.